them talk if they want to. Talk don't bother me. I want the whole wide world to know that I love you so. Let them whisper.
And welcome to Let 'Em Talk. I'm Paul DeRienzo.
And I'm Miss Joan Moossy.
And joining us, our guest, Jeffrys, a drag historian. And we're going to give you an opportunity to find out what a drag historian is and why we have a drag historian on today's show. As you can tell, we're live. Let Them Talk. Our number on screen, 212-757-1541. And we're looking forward to your
So call us up.
And we hope to hear from you during the course of our discussion. But in the meantime, let's talk about a little bit about what we're about and what our show is about, and today's show is. And we'll go to Joey, who, as a drag historian, well, explain to the listeners, to the viewers, what is a drag historian? What do you do?
I'm interested in the history of male and female impersonation throughout, specifically New York City. I've
So we're not
decided to go
talking
meet.
about drag racing.
Not drag racing. No, absolutely
not
drag
NASCAR.
racing. And we're not talking about, drag as in friction. We're not talking about that either.
It's not physics.
No, we're talking about people who wear
Drag and drop on the internet.
drag and drop.
No
Not
drag
talking
and
about that.
drop.
No drag and drop. No, we're talking about people who wear non-bifurcated clothing that they shouldn't be wearing. Right? We're talking about men in skirts and women in pants, basically. This is what we're talking about. And the history of that in New York City is vast and long.
Amazing. Well, I want to begin by giving you an opportunity to tell us about your special event.
Oh yeah, got a special event coming up this week.
A couple more times we'll discuss
Sure,
it, and we
great.
just want to warm people up, because we are talking about a special event where one can learn even more than you're going to learn here today on Let Them Talk. Go ahead.
Yep, got a
Joe.
special event coming up this Saturday, June the 17th, at Lincoln Center. Begins at 4 o'clock at the New York Public Library for the Performing Arts, the Bruno Walter Auditorium. Gathered on the stage that day are going to be really the living history, the legacy of drag in New York City. Kings and queens, beginning with Stormy de la Villière, who Stormy was the male MC of the Jewel Box Review from 1955 to 1969. Murray Hill, who many of the viewers may know. Murray has a show every Saturday night at Mo Picton's. And Dredd, who is also an up-and-coming drag king. So that rounds out our drag kings. Our drag queens organize drag pageants across America, beginning in 1955 all the way up until 1968. Then Flawless Sabrina becomes known for a documentary film called The Queen, catapulted him to international stardom, really. The other queens will include Sade Pendavis, who is in Paris is Burning. Sade Pendavis will be singing live for us at the event. Dredd will also be performing live at the event. And closing out our queens will be Taylor Mack, who is also an up-and-coming gender bender performance artist, and Taylor Mack will be performing. This is
There's people of all
transgenerational.
ages.
Yeah, this is transgenerational is what this is.
So, where's the library again? It's in Lincoln Center.
It's in Lincoln Center. If you want to go into the front of the library, it is between the Metropolitan Opera House and the Vivian Beaumont Theater, and you can get down to the Bruno Walter Auditorium from there. But the best entrance, I always suggest the rear entrance, and the rear entrance is at 111 Amsterdam Avenue, and that will lead you straight into the Bruno Walter Auditorium. Event begins at 4 o'clock, open doors at 3:30. It is free.
And
Everyone's welcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, everybody's welcome.
Well,
And the dress is optional, I should say.
dress is optional.
Dress is optional.
It's
Well, dress, you can dress in a dress, you can dress in pants, or, people say that we're born naked and the rest is drag, right? So I say cast off those shackles. Come naked. Just forget the clothing altogether.
Well, how did you come, Jeffrys, how did you come to know so much about this subject, an esoteric subject like this?
I just been hanging out in bars late at night for far too long in too many places.
Well, you also have you're obviously a very intelligent person who's very well educated, and you're an educator yourself.
Yeah, I teach at NYU, teach in the Tisch Department of Drama there.
Uh-huh. And so, in a way, this is part of the drama.
This is part of
And
what
what
I
is your
teach.
degree in? You have a PhD.
I have a PhD in performance studies.
I see.
Yeah, which basically everything is performance, and we study it, and so this drag is clearly performance. In fact, I consider drag kind of the indigenous gay performance. It's something that arose out of the gay community, and it's deeply identified with the gay community.
And you're also a writer.
Yes, I write. I write various things. I've written for Time Out and The Village Voice and The Advocate and Out Magazine and Blue. And most recently I published in Straight to Hell, which I'm very proud of having published in Straight to Hell, actually.
Right. Tell us, what is the history of drag? And is drag a post-war phenomenon?
Oh, no,
Is
no,
it
no.
an ancient phenomenon?
Oh,
Now,
it's-
you know, we
yeah.
have a phone call already.
Oh, phone call. Hey.
We'll give it a shot.
Ooh, give a phone call. Hey, let's talk to the caller.
There you are. Hi, you're on the television.
Hello?
Hello, caller.
Caller, go ahead. Listen to your phone, not to the TV, because there's a delay probably.
And there is a delay.
We're talking to you.
It drags right along.
Well, let's keep on going until the caller figures out and asks a question. I hope they're coming through. I mean, we've got
Got the sound up on the caller?
Yes, we're ready to go.
Yeah, ready to go. Hey. Oh, sorry.
What was that?
Too
Well,
much.
that's no good.
Yeah, that's nice. Well, anyway, when this caller decides to say something...
Well, let's talk a little bit about the background.
Oh, let's talk about the background. Yeah, the background that we're looking at here today, this is a postcard from the 82 Club. And the 82 Club was at 82 East 4th Street. Opened in 1953. A man by the name of Pat Patillo opened the club. And it stayed in business for 20-some years, at least until the mid to late 70s. It's what I call a trade drag bar because it performed for mainly a straight audience, would do 3 and 4 shows a day, pack them out. And like I said, bus loads. I mean, it was like on the bus tour circuit.
And what period is this?
It opened in 53 and it closed around 74, 5. It then like turns over into a rock and roll club. Television plays there, the punk
Didn't they have
band.
problems in the pre-Stonewall era? Because we're talking about, we had Gilbert Baker, for example, on a few weeks ago, and we were talking about the pre and post.
If you'd like to make a call, please
Hello? Operator.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Operator.
Operator.
So continue on.
Well, at the 82 Club, they were very kind of strict with the performers in that the performers could not enter or leave the building in any type of drag. They had to enter and leave very nicely in men's clothing, suits.
So it was done very carefully.
Very careful. And I mean, it was mob payola going on, most definitely. I mean, any gay bar in New York City at that point in time was kind of making some payoffs and whatnot.
I see.
But the performers could not mingle with the audience, for example. At certain points in time, the police would crack down. They had to stay backstage, or if they did mingle, they had to mingle in their men's clothes. They couldn't come out dressed as women. You know, so yeah, there was all sorts of like.
And was
so
it predominantly men dressed as women?
It was predominantly men dressed as women, but the waiters at the tables, because this was table service, drinks, even like French fries and a little bit of food was served there. Those were women in male garb.
Oh,
Those were
So that's a
male
lot different than,
impersonators.
we're not talking about a sex change here, because there's
Oh,
a lot
no.
of that in the news and people confuse
After
the two.
Christine Jorgensen
Sure.
in the 50s, yeah. And then the 82 Club, like by the late 60s, early 70s, they do begin to allow sex change and cosmetically altered people in.
I see.
But that's just because it was a sensation at the time. That was kind of like then the next freak level to reach.
The next highest level.
The next
right?
highest level, yeah.
Really. I mean, let's go back. I mean, are we talking about an ancient history?
Oh yeah, I mean, the kabuki. No is the longest continuously performed theater tradition in the world, and No incorporates female impersonators.
What is no?
No is a Japanese form of drama. Kabuki also includes it. The ancient Greeks did it. The Elizabethans did it. There have been any number of reasons to prohibit females from performing on the stage.
I see.
Generally, prostitution. It was immodest for a woman to display herself on the stage, right? And you shouldn't do that. No, right? But so men took over these roles, and it is kind of interesting, I think, to note that the greatest periods of Western dramatic literature, what we consider the Greeks and the Elizabethans, came about completely with no woman ever setting foot on the stage. These playwrights were writing for all
Absolutely.
male
And
cast.
here in New York as well, it was only men on the stage for a long time, and it was only men in the audience.
Oh yeah, and well,
Right
the
up
audiences
through the 19th century.
Audiences were segregated for a long time too. I mean, black and white in all different kinds of ways.
But there was still, it was sexually charged, because if you read about old New York, like Sante and books like that, they talk about how they would have a secret passage from the theater to the brothel next door.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it was involved.
The vicinity of theaters to brothers was very, very tight, usually very close.
Now, if you'd like to join the conversation,
Yes,
call
please
us
call
up
us.
at 212-757-1541. We'd love to hear from you.
And we're talking about, well, what's gender? I like the term gender bender,
Yeah.
but we're talking about something different with gender bender.
No, not really. Gender is something that is between the ears, and sex is something that is between the legs, right?
That's the difference.
That's the difference.
basic difference.
That's the basic difference.
So it happens in the head,
it happens in the head,
then
and
it's about
it's a
drag.
it's still a performance. Gender is a performance also, right? But then drag really has to do with clothing.
Right.
With clothing, because you can perform gender naked.
I see.
The drag still is about that bifurcation. It's about that split in the pants
about
or the
clothing,
non-split
yeah.
in the dress.
Well, how
right?
about I was reading in the paper the tragic story of the Phoenix bar the
Oh
other
yeah,
day.
Kevin
Aviance.
Aviance.
Yeah,
Kevin Aviance.
yeah. This is horrible.
Bless his heart.
Is this well? Let's start. This is New York. Let's talk about race and ethnicity and the drag scene. Is it a segregated scene? Is it a
It's a mixed scene to
racially mixed?
some extent, but yeah, like most everything else in America and in New York, yeah, there's a segregated aspect to it. The ball scene does generally tend to be black and Hispanic, whereas other bars in the West Village, East Village, yeah, they're integrated, segregated, desegregated to some point, but still, yeah, there's still a
Predominantly
divide.
one
There's
way
still
or
a
the
divide,
other.
yeah.
I see. Well,
Interesting.
you've been to this to the bar. I don't want to talk about it too much, but this specific institution, the bar that was in the Aviance, you've been there?
Yeah, I've been to the Phoenix. Yeah, the Phoenix is, yeah, you feel perfectly safe and fine at the Phoenix. And Kevin Aviance, if you don't know who Kevin Aviance is a singer. I don't necessarily consider that Kevin Aviance does drag. He is a gender bender. It's really neither quite one thing or the other. He has a shaved head, does kind of space makeup, glues mirrors to his face, and,
He's
wears kind of
fantastic.
unitards. Yeah, he's fantastic. So it's really hard to identify male or female, but he was attacked by 6 guys, and it would take 6 guys to bring him down because he's, like I said, he's a tall, big man, imposing man. These kids were young. These kids were 19, 18.
Now,
I
has
saw
he
the
been
ages.
released from the
He was just
hospital?
released from the hospital today, I believe. His jaw was broken. It's going to be wired shut for like 2.5 weeks.
Oh.
They also did something to his knee, to his leg, so that's kind of
The problem. too.
damaged.
Yeah.
Are these kind of attacks are these a problem in New York in the drag scene? Because I know, for example,
Well, I think
a
they're-
lot
I mean,
of folks
in
hang
the-
out on West Street, for example, in the park there by the
Yeah.
piers at the end of Christopher
Right,
Street.
right.
Is that a problem? A lot of young people.
A lot of young people.
And there's
A lot of young
intermixing.
people.
There's intermixing between gay, straight, gender, bender, various different people from that scene hang out there. Is there a problem? that
I
you know
don't
about?
generally think there's always a problem with gay bashing and whatnot. I don't think that you get kind of the gender bender problem until you get to the point of gender roulette, is what I call it.
Gender roulette.
Somebody thinks that they have just picked up a woman, but then they reach down there and,
That
there's a little
becomes
surprise.
problem.
Yeah.
The dishonesty is really what it is.
Well, it's not dishonesty. I don't think it's dishonesty.
No, it isn't.
But,
why not? Tell me why you don't think it is.
Well, it's all about the presentation of self. And so I don't necessarily think it's dishonest or just because the person is representing the gender that they got up here.
I see.
That's gotta,
Well, those are very interesting, supportive, but controversial words for many people in our audience. And we have a number, 212-757-1541. 212-757-1541. Let them talk. I'm Paul DeRienzo, Miss Joan Marie Moossy, and our guest, Joey Jeffrys, a drag historian. Let me throw this out to folks who might call. Do you think that if you went out on a date with somebody and found out they were something different than they said, would that be something morally wrong, something you would have a problem with, or?
A lovely surprise.
Yeah, a lovely surprise. Well, there was a.
Well, I thought we had a call. Oh, we do.
Yeah, you do.
Hopefully it'll work. You're on.
Hello?
Let them talk.
Hello.
Hey, how you all doing?
Hey. What's up?
Go ahead.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Great.
Is it true that semen makes a really good lip gloss?
Oh.
Perhaps. I don't think it would last that long. It probably dries rather quickly.
I think that was meant to be a.
Well, certainly, but I'm willing to answer. I think
Right.
that something a little bit more oil-based would be better.
But I expected that, it's sort of like when you're in school and you're talking about geography and you say, what's the largest lake on the border between Bolivia and Peru?
Yes.
And the teacher goes, Lake Titicaca. And the kids all giggle.
Giggled and tiki and
Right.
Kiki. There's a drag.
I
queen that
work
I've
with
never
junior
gotten
high
over.
age kids all the time,
Yeah.
so I find that very, I know that problem. I call it the Lake Titicaca problem. And obviously some of our listeners are still in junior high school,
I know.
which I expect because we're only at 8 o'clock. It's before
Hey,
their-
I'm very immature.
Prime time.
It's before
Yeah.
their bedtime.
Don't feel bad.
But I'm pumped.
Again, we'll try it again, though. If you have a question, tell us what you would think and answer the question. I'll throw this to
Or if
folks
you have
out
any
there.
question about
Yeah,
the
any
upcoming
question.
event or drag history, or
Sure.
maybe you know something interesting
Yeah,
you'd like
maybe you
to
got a
share
story.
with us.
Maybe you got a good
Yes.
story. Maybe you worked at the 82, went to the 82. Yeah.
212-757-1541.
212-757-1541. This is Let Them Talk. Tell us a little bit about the event, that the lecture that.
Yeah, how are you going to run it? Like a panel discussion?
It's not being run like a panel discussion. It's being run more like a carnival, I think.
Oh.
We've got a group called Divas who are going to be handing out condoms and safe sex literature when the audience comes in. Divas stands for Drag Initiative to Vanquish AIDS. They're a group of drag queens who go around town doing just this, handing out condoms and safe sex literature. I think the audience is going to be kind of Wigstock-esque. We've got Rollerina coming. Rollerina is a Studio 54 roller skating legend in drag who's going to be there. Linda Simpson will be there, who publishes My Comrade magazine. Mimi I'm First, who's a drag queen around town these days, is going to be in the audience. So I think that between the audience and the stage, like I said, we've kind of got a living history of this forum in New York City, which goes back to 1702. The first governor of New York, a guy by the name of Lord Cornwall, was reported to dress in women's clothes daily as he made his rounds.
Well, isn't it also true of J. Edgar Hoover?
J. Edgar Hoover, don't forget J. Edgar
The
Hoover.
FBI for its first 50 years, it was reported that he also enjoyed it.
And what about Marv Alpern?
Oh, what about Marv?
Marv,
He's a sports commentator.
That happened in Atlanta, I believe. Yeah, but Marv was working here, and what was it? He was forcibly having sex with a woman and liked to have on panties at the time, I believe, was the what came out on stand.
That's more in the
stand.
gender bender area.
That's more in the kinky area. Yeah, that's kinky.
We don't know what to call that.
Right.
Yeah.
We're searching for a definition.
Well, I guess we should just make the distinction quickly because it's always made between transvestites, drag queens, and transsexuals.
Oh, yeah. Explain that.
Transvestites is very simple. Transvestites are like Marv Albert. They get an erotic charge, a thrill out of wearing some type of women's clothing, right? A drag queen is basically
Ed Wood.
Yes.
Yeah, the film.
He liked the Angora, right?
Angora.
He liked the feel of this material. Yeah. He liked the feel of the material. A transsexual, on the other hand, again, now it's not about the clothing, it's about the body, right? They're going to alter the body surgically. They're going to get the breast implants. They're going to get the what I call the penis tuck, to get the vagina turned inside out, right?
Yes.
And then the drag queen is basically a person who has too much fashion sense for one gender to be contained in one single gender.
It's not enough to have.
Not enough to have a male wardrobe. You got to have the female wardrobe too, because
20 suits, even Italian.
No.
Ralph Lauren.
No.
That's not enough.
Then you got to have the Pucci dresses and the heels, and because there's just too much fashion sense.
Right.
for
Maybe
one
they
person.
grew up sort of like envious.
Right.
Yeah. Girls got to wear all these great clothes, and guys were like in ratty blue jeans and ugly shorts and baggy.
Or the opposite.
Prison.
Or the opposite, yeah.
Prison wear.
Somebody who doesn't want to wear dresses.
Right.
Because a lot of these drag
girls
kings,
doesn't want to wear dresses.
Sure.
a lot of these drag kings are very attracted to pinstripe suits and the things that men wear.
How about, Annie Oakley? I saw photographs of her. You know, she lived in New York.
We have a phone
actually.
call.
She lived in New York and she wore blue jeans.
Yeah.
Western drag.
Western wear.
You're on.
Hello?
Hello?
Go ahead.
Yes, hello.
Yes.
Hi.
Speak up a little bit.
How you doing?
Good.
Good,
How are
what's
you?
up?
Talk about the whole transgender scene in New York. What's that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's not like it was 10, 15 years ago when you had, say, Edelweiss or Susie's or any of these places around. I think Giuliani, with his quality of life initiative, got rid of a lot of these places. Even though a lot of them have gone to Queens, it's still not what it used to be.
Right, yeah, Giuliani did get rid of a lot of different types of nightlife in New York City, most definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
And places like Sally's Hideaway, which was served the drag community for a long time. And then just, clubs in New York City have a fairly short lifespan to start with. The fact that 82 Club stayed in business for 20 years is astounding, but places like the Pyramid Club, which is still in business, but nights come and go. The Boy Bar has gone, and it was known for its drag. And it's now condominiums. It's now condominiums on St. Mark's Place.
Now, were you around 10 or 15 years ago to participate in that scene?
Yeah, I was around.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I was around, and I'm still around.
Right on.
Well, I'm just, I'm a regular professional guy. I used to frequent these clubs.
And what? Of all the things we've been discussing, did we touch on anything that you could relate to as a rationale in your life for choosing a lifestyle or not?
Well, no, he has an interest in watching. He's
watching.
an audience.
Oh, I thought you were. I'm sorry.
He's into watching the
see.
show,
Into
which
going
is
to the show.
magnificent.
Well, that's interesting. That's an interesting aspect. And I know
Well,
a
I
lot
mean,
of folks.
you have a lot of these smaller venues now. I mean, you have like in Queens, you have like Luchow's, and you have Atlantis, and all these other places. But it's not. In other words, it went mainstream and then it kind of burned itself out.
Well, tell us about one of the most memorable drag shows you've ever seen, or drag performers.
Well, Jessica Fox used to perform at a place called Crash on Thursday nights, and she was very, very popular, especially amongst the hip hop crowd.
Yeah.
And I think she kind of brought it out into the mainstream, and even amongst the straight hip hop community, she made it acceptable. It was kind of very fashion chic. And then you have Larissa Dumont, who came after her, who was a follower of hers. She kind of brought out as well. And so you have a lot of these ethnic drag performers that still do a very good job of what they do. And they're very interesting to watch.
Oh yeah. There's a whole kind of movement of Indian drag now, which is fascinating to watch. Kind of Bangladeshi, Bollywood kind of style drag, which is unbelievable to see.
Beautiful, yeah.
It's almost like a Delacroix painting, where it's this longing for the East.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for calling.
Thank you, caller. Very interesting. Where are you calling from? What part of town?
Oops. Okay, hung up.
And this is Let Them Talk, 212-757-1541. Our guest, Joey Jeffrys. Tell us the who, what, when, where of your event.
This Saturday, June the 17th, at the Bruno Walter Auditorium, which is part of the New York Public Library for the Performing Arts at Lincoln Center. It starts at 4 p.m. Doors will open at 3. Absolutely free admission, and dress is optional. A drag summit bringing together the living legacy of the history of male and female impersonation in New York City on one stage.
Is there any one person you would say, living or dead, who is the greatest female impersonator who's ever lived? Is there one person who's anybody focused on?
That's got to be hard.
Well, it's really hard because there's so many different styles and types of impersonation. I mean, some people work live vocally and do exact mimics, like Jimmy James, for example. Some people work live and don't do exact mimics, but they do really funny material, kind of like Charles Pierce, who's now dead, but he would do really funny, kind of long stand-up Betty Davis routines.
Where do you find more about this? If you are in a position where you're not in New York City, you're listening to this broadcast, it could be on the internet. Right. Is there a way of finding out more or seeing? Are there tapes? Are there videos?
Oh, sure, but there are drag shows in every little town in the world.
It's really gone over.
Yeah, that's why I say it's this indigenous gay performance form. If there's a gay bar in your town, there's going to be a drag show there. Friday, Saturday night, Sunday night. There's going to be a drag show there
and
one night a week.
And
don't miss it. Yeah.
Right. Excellent.
So our number is 212-757-1541. We have time for more calls. If you want to give us a call, we'd love to talk to you.
Yes, and Let Them Talk. I'm Paul DeRienzo, Joan Moossy, and our guest, Joey Jeffrys. So there's so much to talk about. How about Wigstock?
Oh, Wigstock. Yeah, Wigstock started in '85 in Tompkins Square Park.
And it's back now after being
out. It's back now because the Howl Festival has brought it back. And it's back in Tompkins Square Park. It basically outgrew Tompkins Square Park and had to move.
Right.
And so
after
then
the
piers for a while, it was in Union Square Park first. It moved there. Union Square Park wasn't necessarily happy about having it there because of the condition of the grass and this kind of thing. So then it moved to the pier, which was dreadful because it was asphalt and no trees, no shade, no stores, no bodegas to go buy a Coke during the intermission or anything, right? But now, thanks to the Howl Festival, it's back in Tompkins Square. It's kind of a mini Wigstock, though. It's not the 8-hour drag fest anymore.
Marathon.
It's more like a little 3-hour tight show now.
And the audience is beautiful.
And the audience
Lots
is beautiful
of people participate.
Well, tell me about the audience, because it's, when I was sitting at Wigstock, and I live right by there, and I watch Wigstock go by, it's not your, you could not look at the scene and say we're looking at a gay scene. It's every sort of person.
Oh, because people love
everything,
it.
Right?
Yeah.
Children, don't you
so
like children?
Right?
I mean, I saw like bikers and groups like that who were there, and they were getting into it.
Dogs,
everybody's got
people dress their dogs, dogs, cats, everything, literally.
And wigs.
What is this like? Is this something that's always been, or is it growing? This appeal to mainstream public?
People think that it grows, but I don't think it's growing.
Well, let's talk about the history of crossing over. Like, say somebody like RuPaul, who went from the Pyramid Club and came from Atlanta, Georgia, to the Pyramid Club. Club, and then went on to be like on Hollywood Squares. I mean, that's really crossing over.
Yeah. But I mean, you have to then think about people like Divine, who crossed over to some extent.
Right, let's talk about
people like Sylvester, who crossed over to some extent. If there's talent, it will cross over. I mean, it's obvious, and I think maybe people are now maybe a little bit more accepting of it. They're not as freaked out when people cross that gender line. But
how about Milton Berle? How does
Milton Berle?
He dressed in a dress. I mean,
he did do drag. Absolutely,
he did drag, and he did drag on television in the 1950s. In the early 1950s, the height of the drag.
It was kind of. It was
nobody even thinks of him as really a bender. Really,
it was a type of drag where he always had trouble with the drag. You know, he would always be falling off the high heel. Mishaps.
Wardrobe
malfunctions. There we go. Thank you. Exactly the word I was looking for. Right.
So we're coming towards the end of the show, and I think you should give us some more particulars about the event and just
what do they expect? What are folks who come to the event? What should they expect to hear?
Oh, they should expect. Oh, God knows what they're going to hear. There's just no telling with some of these performers what they're going to say. We just don't know. But it is this Saturday, June the 17th, at Lincoln Center, 4 o'clock, Bruno Walter Auditorium, New York Public Library for the Performing Arts, 111 Amsterdam Avenue. Drag performances, drag conversation, multimedia slides, video,
and it's absolutely
crazy audience, free condoms. You name it. It's
everything
is free, and the dress is optional.
And we'll be there. Joan and
absolutely.
I,
wouldn't miss it.
We wouldn't miss it for the world. And for folks who might just be tuning in, what is the image behind this again?
This image is part of the 82 Club. It's a postcard from the 82 Club, which was a drag club from 1952 to the mid-70s at 82 East 4th Street, just down the street from La Mama, if you know where that is. It's kind of diagonally across the street from the New York
East Village.
In the East Village.
Now, why does it say Who's No Lady?
Who's No Lady? Because in that cast of people behind us, those are all female impersonators except for one of them. Oh. One of them is...
a waiter?
One of them is an actual female. The rest of them are female impersonators.
Who's No Lady?
Who's No Lady? Which one is No Lady?
It really is the one who is a lady.
It's the one who is a lady. Yeah. Because the Jewel Box Review used to have a bit called 25 Girls and a Guy. No, I'm sorry, 25 Guys and a Girl.
I see.
Oh, where people would try to pick out.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
So this Saturday at the library behind Lincoln Center, in the auditorium downstairs.
Don't miss it.
Enter on Amsterdam Avenue, right behind Lincoln Center.
Take the rear entrance.
And we hope to see you there. This has been Let Them Talk. I'm Paul DeRienzo.
I'm Miss Joan Marie Moossy, and thank you, Joey.
Oh, thank you very much, guys.
And we've been renewed. We'll be seeing you for another 13 weeks.
All right.
Right up until September. So
same time.
Yay.
See you next week.
Take care.